Now, many of you by now you'll know that Nio gave us their Q4 earnings, which resulted in the shares of Nio or on the Nio stock ending the day up over 2.8%, which is something that was, I suppose, pretty good, especially knowing that most of the stocks or the market in general was down. But yet we saw, of course, Nio becoming one of those stocks that did or that ended the day pretty good, and especially knowing that this stock at market open, it opened down over 4%. I mean, we saw Neo going below $5 yesterday, ladies and gents, which some of the people were, of course, the Neo bears were really happy about seeing Neo going that low, which immediately we saw it, of course, recovering and coming back and finishing the day up, of course, 2.8%. And of course, Neo is still trading very low, and regardless of yesterday's earnings, I mean, it was sort of like a mixed earnings, because even though Neo did pretty good in most of the things, there are other things like gross margins that Neo failed to meet or beat what analysts expected, which is why it resulted, in my personal opinion, Neo never thriving or never exploding like what we see a company like Li Auto did after or on the day of their earnings. It is for that reason that I think Neo was, of course, slagged a bit when comparing to the kind of surging that we saw from companies like Li Auto. But nonetheless, to sum up the earnings, I thought personally that they were pretty good, and I suppose it ending over 2.8% yesterday, it also validates to say that investors, they were happy about the earnings, or they were at least satisfied in most of the figures that came on the earnings, which is something that is pretty good. Now, ladies and gents, one of the things that of course was discussed during the live's earning call was, of course, the Alps sub brand. You will know that there have been speculations, rumors of saying that Neos intends to officially launch the, of course, Alps first model now in Q1, which we now know that Neo's plans from the CEO is to officially launch the Alps brand now in Q2 and launch its first car, which is similar to the Model Y, which many of you know that Tesla Model Y is the sedan. That model will be launched in Q3, and deliveries for the models are expected to start in Q4. So we know that the Alps brand will be officially launched in Q2, whilst the first vehicle or first model will debut in Q3, and deliveries of that model will debut in Q4. Now we know that, of course, like I said, the first model is the sedan. Second model, ladies and gents, it will be a family SUV. That's what the CEO said. And I mean, yesterday or day before yesterday, we've been seeing sneak peeks of an SUV, which many of the people are speculating that it might be Alps' first SUV, which is something that is pretty good. Now, Nio CEO also highlighted yesterday that the third model for Alps is already under development, which is something that is also pretty good, though they did not say what kind of a vehicle it will be. But we know that this year we are going to get a similar model to Tesla Model Y, which will be cheaper than Model Y, and it will be having latest technology and eligible for battery swap. Now, the most important thing that I think during the live earnings call that the Nio CEO said was, of course, the deliveries they expect to get from the Alps brand. And he said that they are looking at getting a reasonable volume of around 10,000 deliveries of vehicles being produced on a month to month. He said that is decent, and therefore it means that on a month to month we can expect Alps to also deliver roughly around 10,000, if not more. But I think one of the things that we've seen on Nio is that they are able to adjust. If I personally believe that if they see a lot of demand into Alps, they have got the potential, the powers to increase production capacity of the sub brand. This is something that is, I think, is pretty decent, because if Nio is to go back to 20,000, as the Nio said yesterday, plus this 10,000, we can safely see, obviously, I don't know, 30,000 on a month to month, because the CEO and stressed the point that Nio's deliveries will go back to 20,000, and of course with these 10,000 that they are targeting, which we might see in one of the months in Q4, it will therefore mean that Nio will have total deliveries of around 30,000, which is quite decent. I mean, for these 10,000, he was just trying to show that a reasonable volume for a factory is supposed to be 10,000, which I suppose it's pretty decent. But one thing for sure, I personally think that Nio probably already has an expansion plan should Alps models become too much in demand. I think they already have a plan. I mean, they've seen, or we've read Nio so many times upgrading their of course production capacity to, of course, try to meet the demand, which is something that I suppose even on Alps, if should they see the demand becoming more, they will always go back to the drawing board and increase, of course, the production capacity. But another thing that he also said is that next year they will be launching the third brand, which I suppose that's the Firefly brand, which Nio, ladies and gents, that is the most cheapest car that Nio will be selling. And that car, we know that it will be ranging price wise from 100 to 200,000 RMB, which is something that is pretty good, and it will, of course, once again attract more people to come into Nio, or more people to come and wanting to buy these Nio's sub brands. And if they are also starting to target 10,000 in terms of volumes, or if their initial production capacity for the models or for that sub brand is 10,000, then it will be great, because it will be 10, 20, which can give Nio probably before end of the year next year, should they start selling their sub brand before end of next year, having a month where they deliver over 40,000 deliveries, which is something that is pretty good, pretty decent. So I hope for the best, and I hope to see at least more demand coming in, especially onto Nio sub brands, especially that these sub brands will be having almost a similar technology to that of Nio. I mean, I look forward to the kind of deliveries that we can expect to see after Nio has started with the deliveries of all these models. Otherwise, with all that, guys, I just thought I'd just give you this quick update. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, comment and subscribe. And once you subscribe, don't forget to hit or click that notification bell so that at least you get notified by YouTube every time I drop a new content. Otherwise, that's all from me, and I wish nothing but the best in your stock market investing journey. And please do your own DD before you buy Nio for the very first time, because this stock can be quite volatile. And just to maybe state again, what the Nio CEO said is that he said it appears, or it looks like, their initial volume target for this Alps sub brand is around 10,000, which therefore we can expect 10,000 deliveries. And I believe that should they see more demand into the sub brand, they will of course increase production, which is something that will be pretty decent. Otherwise, that's all from me, and I wish you nothing but the best in your stock market investing journey, and God bless you all.